Did I click the button? I clicked the button. Hello, everyone, and happy 2021. And it's good to be back. It's good to be back in the umbraCoffee. We are joined today by two great, amazing guests, and it's Owain and Carl. Hello, guys, and hi, Callum, after the break.
Hello.
How are you? How are you all? How's the entrance to 2021?
Good, yeah. Just more of the same, but actually quite nice to have a new year and new ideas and new things starting a little bit.
You mean the whole world didn't just correct itself when
the Fox went over, Trump got kicked out, everyone's happy.
I've seen yesterday some memes that it's just 7 days of 2021 and I don't want what's next.
Going on 2022.
It'll be fine.
A lot of people were awaiting the end of 2020, so but yeah, it's just the change of the numbers for now. We are all back at work. I've seen some comments in the YouTube channel that some people are just working for 4 days, 5 days. I've been working since yesterday, and I had a great break from all the computers and machines. I literally spent almost 2 weeks without any electricity and stuff, so it's amazing. I'm fully pumped right now, fully motivated to have a great year here ahead, and yeah, Umbraco is just having yet another great year ahead. What do you guys think about it?
It's going to be an interesting year, I think. I said this in our last episode with Philip, that there's a lot of stuff on the kind of roadmap on the horizon that's going to be interesting with .NET Core. How maybe there's going to be a big package rewrite for a lot of developers. There'll be that kind of will I, won't I that we had with V8, where you're choosing, do you start on the .NET Core version, or are you going to do it a new site on V8? It's going to be interesting. I'm sure there'll be some drama and Twitter tantrums at some point as well. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Oh yeah, it's going to be exciting.
Definitely, I think. I mean, this change is happening not just within the Umbraco frame space, but across Microsoft as well. You know, everything is going to .NET 5. That is the future. It's the direction that all new development will be done in. So, you know, change or die.
And generally, technology-wise, right? It's like we've seen the dancing robots from Boston Dynamics and other things which can be just hit no code, low code, and all the stuff around. As usual, it can be exciting, and it is usually. But also, to not scare anyone, it's not that anyone needs to learn something new. I've spent almost whole last year just working with Umbraco and some website builders, and that's fine. Nothing happened. I'm alive. You don't need to learn anything new, but you can. Of course. Cool. Of course, before we ended up the year, we had some unfinished series yet, and we can start from there. I think it will be good starting point, because I'm talking about 24 days. We've had some finishing articles. And I must admit,
we finished for Christmas. umbraCoffee, we finished for Christmas a lot earlier than we usually would. So I think we've missed like a whole week of articles.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, and we've had 25, not only 24 sets of articles. And I can fully admit that I didn't catch up with all of them yet. What about you?
Andy's config one was the last one I saw, and it was very, very good. Oh, and I saw Laura's and Carl's one as well. Both of them kind of along similar lines about how to evolve the back office, new UI components. Should we be looking at things like Tailwind or that sort of setup for utility classes in CSS? Some interesting discussion sparked off the back of it.
Yeah. I've seen this one. And guys, what about you? Do you have your favorite article or articles from this year's series? Carl, what about you?
I quite enjoyed the conversation that Carl's article sparked on Twitter, and I really certainly people's opinions are very polarized about what the back office framework should be written in, and you know, it's always been. It's not a current conversation, not a new conversation, I should say. It's one that kind of keeps cropping up every 6 months or so. And yeah, that was an interesting conversation to be.
The thing I find very interesting about that whole area is I think the Umbraco community is probably predominantly back-end developers or full-stack developers, shall we say. People that do a bit of CSS and JavaScript, but maybe are mostly .NET developers. Now, this is, I've said this before, where Philip's very interesting because his perspective is from the front-end side. And I know Carl, his background is largely in front-end as well. So there's a lot that we as back-end developers do not know.
We don't get involved in. Yeah, that's it.
And we don't want to know. We don't want to know sometimes, right?
But we can't really
learn with just the back-end stuff. So
we can't really get our heads around some of these newer things. Maybe the fact that it might be surprising if someone tells you, oh, you know, gulp actually is kind of considered legacy and you don't use that anymore. Chances are you probably still got it in your projects. There's different conventions and things that people use in front-end dev that we just don't know about. So with regards to back office, I'm sure everyone's got an opinion, but I'm very much of the view of hand it off to the experts. They're going to do the right thing.
And still, the RFC is ongoing, right? So it's like the discussion which should happen, and everyone can just share their opinions, and the decision needs to be just made, and whatever decision it will be, hopefully it will be better than the previous ones, and that's the vision, I think so. At least from my perspective, if it works, that works. From this perspective, it's just great that it works in the browser, and if it will be compatible with all the other browsers, we'll be able to extend it. That's what we are all aiming to do, and await that.
Yeah, there's going to be some pain in translation anyway. So as soon as the new version is launched, whatever the rewrite happens, whenever that will be, there will be some pain. But that's part of the growth process, you know.
I think currently there's a big resistance of people not wanting to get involved in the back office because it's Angular or whatever. And the reality is, once you've had a go, you'll realize Angular's JavaScript, and it's kind of relatively similar to C# syntactically, and it all works. Yeah, it's all pretty logical. There's some quirks, of course. Recently, I've been doing a lot of Vue. I've had to get my head around Webpack as well, and it's been a challenge. But once it clicks, it does make sense. So it's just a case of investing the time. Developers are lazy. They don't like like having to do new things, only if they want to.
Yeah, that's it.
And what about you, Owain? Any favorite from this year's series? From your
what about his own article? That was brilliant.
Yeah, I was going to say that. I think that'd be a bit biased, wouldn't it? Yeah, no, there was
it might be this chase. It was great.
No, there's some really good articles.
But any other ones? Yeah.
I really like the ones about just extending the back office. The one was they make you a custom backend lovely by Richard Ockerby. That was a pretty good one. I just love to see the things. Oh, Grid Novel, that was a really good one by Soren.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I copied and pasted that snippet straight into a website. Straight in. This is Soren's like way of rendering a grid, you know, inline, real time type thing.
No, I thought that one was really good. A good demonstration of what couldn't be done with the block list.
Yeah,
that's exciting.
Interesting discussions this week. I was talking with Aaron and Jason on Slack about this, just saying we keep comparing a lot of the kind of content editing methods in the CMS and saying, but this doesn't do this, that this other thing does. And we don't need to make them equal. So the grid has a place. The block list has a place. I think trying to make the block list be a grid is the wrong thing to do. Ultimately, it's supposed to be creating like rows. But at the same time, it's cool that it's possible. And I like the idea that we could standardize on one set of data storage, but have different UIs on top of it. So that conversation is one that's probably never going to die. They'll be, why can't the grid do this? Well, we should rebuild the block list. Okay, we're going to do that.
Back and forth.
That's another thing that always comes up whenever people talking about upgrading, because the new version of X doesn't support Y, therefore I have to rewrite all my data structures again. That's not a barrier to going up. Whereas, you know, if we can find a way of making these work at the underlying data level, so that the actual editor itself is interchangeable, that will make things easier.
I've just put up here in the chat, Andy was saying they discussed this at the Leeds meetup last night, and there was a conversation about what's best. And I think, as we've said, standardizing that data is a great way to kind of make that less of an issue. You choose the one that is the right experience for what you're trying to achieve, rather than, I said this in Slack again yesterday, they have different purposes. I would say the grid is not for building, probably not for building, lists of rows, whereas that's exactly what the block list is designed for. And stack content, and people were doing it with archetype and nested content way before that even existed. So, I think it's good to have options. There maybe isn't a best solution.
To summarize, just to summarize 24-day series, I think all of the authors and people behind it deserves one more big high five, because that's again, once per year, the massive series, and still we can probably spend the whole year learning just from there and exploring all the areas of that content. So big kudos for sharing it, and yeah, let's learn and let's share even more of that and use it in the recent Umbraco versions. But jumping on the Umbraco directly, we also had a new release of Umbraco, which is 8.10 and 8.10.1. And they were released with block editor improvements and 85 community contributions as well.
Including first time contribution from Owain here.
Yay.
Yeah, exactly. Congrats and good one.
Thank you.
So tell everyone what was your contribution? What was your input here?
Yeah. My contribution was translation files, basically just translating the whole back office into Welsh.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's something I've been sitting on for quite a while. I did it.
A big project. There's that JSON file that they live in. XML file is like 3,000 lines long.
Yeah, it was huge. Trying to figure out like what keys and that I was missing from it, and what was in like the English one was just a big pain. So I ended up writing my own like little command line thing that would just compare the files and be like, okay, you're missing these keys from this one.
Oh, that's funny, because I wrote a PowerShell thing that did that as well once. But so did you pull just the English file here and create a new file here and just start populating?
Yeah, well, I was a bit fortunate because there was one half done from Umbraco 7 by someone I knew, and they were like, okay, you can have this, because one of our clients needed it done. So I spent quite a while last year translating it for them, and I was like, right, I'll put this into Umbraco. And then I didn't. And then a couple of months later, I was like, all right, got to update this now. So updated it, and then finally then put it in. So yeah, it did take quite a while. It was quite
But it's not an easy job, I must admit, because I tried to do the same for the Polish a while ago, and I failed, because finding the context of also the alias in the key, and to not end up in translating some crazy stuff which are totally out of the context.
Yeah.
And same English is pretty easy language to not have 12 words to name the same thing as in Polish sometimes, but yeah, it's just crazy because I didn't know which word to use. that was the challenge to face. But yeah, big kudos for that as well. And we highlighted this pull request a while ago, and yeah, great work. But speaking about other stuff, the whole list, of course, is highlighted here in the blog post shared by Philip on December 28th. A lot of things, a lot of improvements, and yeah, this friendly fix on 8.10.1 released short after that. Pretty good updates. I didn't upgrade yet to see that. I didn't have time, but it looks like another pretty solid release with 100 bug fixes.
Yeah, there's a bunch of things in this release that I've been after. I even managed to get 4 PRs in. I'm not sure how. I don't even remember doing 4 PRs, but apparently that happened. There's a few really nice little things that people may not realize. So being able to use $index in the block list, like you could with content, to say kind of counting the items. So the label will be item 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You couldn't do that before. You now can. There is a bunch of UI fixes that you may, if you've used 8.9, you may have found that the save button on document types doesn't work.
Yeah.
Go save and generate for it to actually generate. And 8.10.1 fixed an issue where you couldn't save media items. So there's a nice
yeah, I saw a tweet about that. I can't remember from whom.
Plus this memory consumption pull request and performance upgrade, which we've highlighted a while ago, as well with Chad joining us.
There's been some other really nice things. There's some refactoring. Someone refactored the color picker, I think. So it's now a directive. And I have a site where I've got a custom property editor, and I'd love to have the kind of color swap. Just pick a hex from, and now I can. It's one directive, which is lovely.
Nice.
A bunch of stuff you probably won't even notice in this.
Yeah.
Nice.
But yeah, so let's upgrade and let's check it out in the wild, and highlight new maybe findings and issues to be fixed in the next upcoming releases. And as Philip said, again, the direction is to have really regular and planned releases. So whatever will be spotted, fixed, and stuff like that, we'll have it released, which is good. And yeah, let's check it out. From other point of view, there were some upgrades from the community, and we can start from the Amplify theme done by Matt Barlow, which have a new release right now with a trial version available. And again, we've been talking about it in the past, but it's pretty clean and good looking theme with some upgrades here and great usages of Umbraco features inside of it. So it's not just a theme; it's like a fully functional starter kit to be used with the Umbraco with a new release here. The next release is Articulate from Shannon, and it's a version 4.2 with supporting of variants. So it's probably a big release. I didn't check the code changes, but for anyone who were using blogs and writing blogs on top of Articulate and Umbraco, there is a new version for the multilingual options and varianted options. Ready maybe for the future Umbraco upgrades as well.
So 4.2 introduces variant support, and 4.2.1, which came out like 2 or 3 days ago, fixes variant support. So
two releases in one. Two releases in one. Great statistics.
Some issues with variants, I think. But yeah, there's another version of this as well.
That's good. And guys, did you use Articulate for any of your projects in the past? Because I use it, but I don't know, 5 or 6 years ago, maybe. What about
Not
you?
Recently,
No.
I like
I still need to check it then, because it had a lot of features there, which was pretty good to start with.
Yeah, I always wanted to use it, but I always just ended up writing my own document types and just.
That's the thing. It's so easy. I'm going to create 2 doc types. Like blog post, blog list, blog text.
Yeah, but I remember a situation where we had categories, taxonomies, and stuff like that, and it was doing it all the same. But
the thing is, if you get deep into it, it gets really complicated. Even just a blog, the kind of things that you want to be able to do: tag clouds, count tags, being able to search by tag. We launched our blog for my client October sometime last year, and during our initial discoveries, it's always like, just a listing document type and a child document type, and then you get into it, and then actually something like this is
now I want to be able to filter and do all this other stuff.
Yeah.
Search and stuff like that. Yeah. We can go forward with that and deep. 2 more packages from which are Umbraco Forms extension with user agent field. So for any kind of tracking of user agent from people who submitted Umbraco form directly into the Umbraco records data. And the second one is common tag picker, which displays 10 most used tags in the Umbraco tags property within the new data type. So if we have a lot of the tags.
Suggestions to say, hey, you may want these.
That's useful.
Yeah, exactly.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, simple, but really extending the way how tags and editor experience may be improved. Really cool work. And also Shannon again is working on the extensions of ExaminX. It's not only for Azure Search right now, and he is starting with the new search engines, and there is Elasticsearch and Algolia working, and but still there is a lot of things to be extended. I can't remember the third one, which was introduced a while ago, or the idea there. But yeah, supporting PDF and Office docs for the indexers and stuff like that is going to be worked, and there is a full roadmap of the package shared on the website. And last but not least, or two more things on the upgrades here. There was an update from Umbraco practitioners group, and Callum, what's
Mike shared his kind of wireframe or living wireframe. It's on Sketch of what he would like the umbraCoffee site to be. For those that don't know, umbraCoffee is a group designed for people who are not necessarily developers in the Umbraco community. And so this site is, the idea is it's a community site, kind of like our, but specifically for that group of the community. And Mike's been coming up with what that could look like from a information architecture point of view and also from a UI UX point of view. And it's looking really good, really good. I know he was after some help at some point to bring it to fruition. So maybe at some point there's a way that we can get involved and make this a reality.
Nice. It's looked like a full portal for Umbraco practitioners, which is really cool to see. So yeah, we'll highlight, of course, when it will be released. And another sneak peek was coming from the Uskin team, and within this really full well described vlogs, there are all highlights of what's upcoming in the Uskin designer. And I've checked quickly through those videos, and it looks really good. And again, we have so many choices right now and so many options to work with Umbraco, and even reuse components or tools like Uskin or Amplify theme or other starter kits, which we'll be also talking about today. It's really tough to pick it's impossible to pick the best one, but everyone should pick the favorite, and I think Uskin is going into the really nice direction as well. So let's see what is upcoming, and if you are interested what's next, and if you are using Uskin, let us know first, and then check it out on the website, which will be linked down below. And that's from the upgrades perspective. Hopefully we didn't miss anything. If you released anything interesting during the Christmas break and we couldn't find it, let us know in the comments.
And yeah, I didn't.
So let's stop for a while here, because after the Christmas episode, we've hit 600 subscribers here on YouTube channel, and that's a massive point. And thanks for recording this magic moment and sharing it with us on Twitter. And yeah, what's next? Of course, we'll be growing, but we'll be highlighting all of the amazing works. But I just wanted to share that I don't have any plans for this year. I don't know what about you guys, but no plans, no goals. that's just. Let it happen.
It would be dangerous. It would be dangerous to start making plans, because they're just going to be. I think we're just going to be disappointed.
but it might relate to some motivational books and methodologies. Maybe no plans is better, because you are not disappointed. You are just surprised if anything will happen.
I think if anything, the only thing you can do is prepare for change, because change, whatever happens this year, is going to be full of change, whether it's just the software development side of things, whether it's socially, whether it's COVID situation. Change is going to happen some point in time this year. Get ready again, get used to change.
But it's the same with those frameworks and stuff like that. We are not losing anything if we are not aiming too high, right? And yeah, Warren even dropped the message right now that the bar needs to be low, so anything is a big bonus then, and that's exactly good approach, I think. So yeah, let's keep it that way, and we will be all surprised more than once. Skrift release was something what was done this in this period, and there were two articles, and Carl, one was from your side, and we can definitely talk more about this one, because we've been talking about it before going live. It's like a great step forward, and great opportunity for Umbraco after switching fully to be .NET Core based. Can you tell us more about this article? Of course,
Yeah, I mean, you know, for me, I'm not an expert in IoT or Linux or any of this stuff, but you know, with everything happening at the end of last year when .NET 5 finally, oh, apologies for the background noise, when .NET 5 was launched, that is the new direction for Microsoft. You know, it's going to be running everywhere. It's going to be the framework kind of no longer being actively developed other than bug fixes. I'm sure it's not going anywhere. Like you said, Marcin, nothing is changing. We're not losing anything, but the future work is all .NET 5. So there's a kind of point to say, okay, now is a good time as any to actually dive into it. There's nothing released on the Umbraco side of things. I don't have any kind of production work in .NET 5, but now is a good time to kind of jump in and see what it can do. And I've always been interested in running on Linux. You know, everyone's had that time in the past where they've gone, I wonder what it'd be like to use Linux as an operating system rather than Windows as an operating system. And you boot from Linux and you try it for 2 weeks and you go, nah, I'll stick with Windows, thanks. I've certainly done that many times. But yeah, the Raspberry Pi made it easy to actually keep my main sort of desktop environment for my work stuff and have a little play on something else.
Yeah, it's good. They're good fun, aren't they? Definitely to have a
yeah.
tinker with, whether it's doing what you've done, which is running Umbraco on it, or just it comes pre-shipped with Python and stuff in the.
I mean, as a home learning tool as well, I'm doing it with my kids downstairs, and you know we do a lot of Scratch on there. Minecraft for Raspberry Pi with Python lets you kind of plug in lots of things, so you can take events off, you know, show a mini map on an LED display and all kinds of little things, and people have done so much out there because it's designed as an educational platform as opposed to an active productive production platform.
What was that Raspberry for $70? This one with the keyboard?
So I mean, the Pi 400 is basically it's like the original kind of home computers that when they first kind of came out in the sort of 70s and 80s, they were all built into keyboards and the whole thing was one keyboard, and they've kind of gone back to that a little bit. So you get I don't have one. I've only got the kind of credit card sized ones over here. But yeah, it's basically the same thing. So that's the Pi 4 that I have, but it's the same kind of guts as that, but built into a single keyboard. And if you're new to this kind of thing, you know, you don't have to buy anything else. Just get that, plug it into a display, plug in
There's
power.
also argument for this being a far more accessible computer. I know that there's they've got a big kind of charitable arm where the whole Raspberry Pi actually Foundation is a charity, isn't it? But they've been making a lot of ground in places like India and West Africa, where these are developing countries that people are really interested in learning technology, but you know, 1,500 quid plus Dell laptop is just not really even imaginable. So this affordable, compact machine is incredible.
And the fact that, I mean, you know, it has no moving parts, it's not going to break down. You know, the memory for it is built into it. The storage is cheap. It's micro SD. You know, you can get, you know, 4 gigs is enough. You don't need a huge amount of anything. So,
well, Linux is an incredibly lightweight system anyway, isn't it? So it's not,
absolutely
heavy. And I guess from bringing it back to kind of us, Linux is our future, probably.
Well, that's it. Like, you know, we just went through an upgrade over the first lockdown with my clients, and we kind of approached a storage provider to host our servers on, because our servers were quite old. We migrated onto new servers, and it was all great. We were quite happy with the price until we realized that we hadn't paid for the Windows licenses, and that added another 40% on top of our budget. It's like, okay, I mean, you know, we got to do it. Nothing you can do about that. That's not necessarily the future that we have to live in anymore. You know, it's possible to run a lot of this stuff on Linux. I mean, right now, we actually have a production plan to rolling out Hangfire, which we can run on Linux currently with .NET Core and still work with our existing site. So it's the kind of thing you don't have to necessarily hit a big button and migrate everything from day one. You can start doing modules and pieces and move things across slowly.
It certainly doesn't have to be scary, as you've kind of said in the title of your blog. How it's not scary, and actually you should and will kind of fall in love with Linux when you realize the value. At least it took me. I still feel uncomfortable doing things in the .NET style. So .NET New, it just doesn't feel right. It feels very front end developer-y for me, like npm. I've been doing Node and all that on the command line for 10 years maybe, but .NET just doesn't feel like that. It's home is in Visual Studio, but
exactly,
it's easy to set up.
You can, I mean, with VS Code, it does not feel that different. You can spin up if it's not far from being able to get to the point where you can run your development environment entirely in Linux. I mean, you use a Mac, so you know that you don't have to use Windows. You can virtualize Windows, but you don't even have to virtualize it. You can just do it natively on the bare operating system if you're working on a .NET Core project. But because the tools, Visual Studio for Mac is good, but Core, Visual Studio Code is one of the best editors kind of anywhere, and I think it's currently the biggest open source project as well. By contributions on GitHub, it's just from when Microsoft launched it, and it's just been growing and growing and growing. It is now the first thing I install on any machine and any environment. And
I've done a tour recently, and a demo at the Glasgow meetup as well of VS Code, or more specifically Code Spaces, and running Umbraco and .NET Core, which is pretty much what you've demonstrated. It's a Linux virtual machine underneath, and you're running your interface through Visual Studio Code. And I could get used to it. It's just a little bit different. To file a new project, install via NuGet in the UI. It's not the same thing. But I can totally see us getting our heads around it to the point where you no longer worry about what IDE or what operating system your machine's actually running on. It's just
And you've shared a really well written and complete tutorial how to do it step by step, following with the video which I tried to open. I mean, in the meantime, just demonstrating how to do it.
My video editing skills are awful, so apologies for that. There's a lot of just sitting and waiting.
There is a great pro tip on the YouTube, playback speed. And that's a great way of scanning through the tutorials. I found it out in the past.
It's about a 15-20 minute video, but because I haven't sat down and scrunched all the kind of the bits where I just do update and sit there for 15 minutes while I do this updates. It's
really a 4-minute video,
basically. But I mean,
everyone can follow, right? And everyone can do it now. And
on the video, I kind of go from literally powering it on, having nothing installed on there, install the .NET Core framework, and thanks to Pete Gallagher for some help with the script over there to kind of get all that up and running. This is using .NET Core 3.1 because obviously the Umbraco 1 is not on .NET Core 5 yet, or .NET 5 rather. At some point in time, they'll move over to 5, at which point in time we can update scripts and do all that stuff. But I go from just absolute base setup, setting up the networking, which you kind of need to do just to make things a little easier, running the install dependencies all the way to setting up Umbraco and getting into the back end, which is as far as you can go today. But I was chatting on Twitter, and there are, I believe, coming certainly towards the end of the month, not necessarily alphas, but kind of releases which will have some of the front end compilation, I believe. So I'm very excited to see some of those things come out, because that's the final step, is actually getting the front end rendering, which if you can do that, then you're virtually there. So,
and what about you, Owain? Did you have a chance to work with .NET Core already, or it's still on your list?
That's still on my to-do list. I really do want to start learning .NET Core. I've never actually touched it at all so far, just because all of our clients use just the normal .NET framework. But it is something that I do want to do this year. because I don't want to lose out on it.
Yeah, I think that thanks to the Umbraco upgrades and all of those possibilities, and we'll be able to do it. And thanks, Carl, for sharing your experiences, because by not literally wasting time to explore the same things twice, we can just shorten this path and explore things further and do really cool stuff with that, and focus on the value delivered by maybe this project, to not just prove that it's possible, right? So yeah, we will link it up, of course, down below. It's on Skrift.io, and everyone can check it out and share your feedback and share your experiences if you'll decide to do something crazy with Umbraco in that way. And second article this release was about it was the second article from the series on how to set up Azure DevOps and create this time an artifact. So another tutorial article on combining Umbraco with DevOps and general DevOps approaches. Really good article for all of these people who didn't have much experience with DevOps yet. So go and check it out if you would like to know more about Azure DevOps. And there is part 3 coming up in the February edition, so it's not the end of the story. And yeah, that's from the article's perspective. But there's one more initiative which we wanted to highlight, and it's from Anthony Dang, released this today, literally. But it was, I don't know if we mentioned that in the past in umbraCoffee. I can't remember, to be honest. But it was flying around in the.
Yeah, it's been quiet in the community for a while, but at least 5 months. At least 5 months.
So,
I don't know.
Yeah, so it's a free initiative called umbraCoach, which is a coaching and mentoring community for developers, and it offers free sessions for developers with the mentors who are the people selected or volunteering their time from the community, and there are some feedbacks and messages which I've sent to Anthony as well to create a page to become a mentor and maybe grab some more mentors here, because it's all about people who will dedicate their time to help other people to maybe shorten their path to achieve more within the Umbraco development. There is Ali from our team. There is a lot of great people here already confirming their ability and willing to help others. Really cool stuff. And really nice thing as well about this project is that it's built on top of Umbraco Uno. I don't know if you guys know about it.
This is what I'm most interested about, because if you go to the sessions list, I believe, and I might be wrong, but I believe that those are coming from an API. So Anthony has taken an Umbraco Uno site and he's built the bulk of the site with that. But he's then, all of these links, all of these events are Eventbrite events. And so this is interacting with an API he's running on an Azure function to load that custom entry. Because you can't write custom code for Uno, but you can embed JavaScript. So he's got some JavaScript that calls that API to then render all of that out. And that's pretty interesting. I'd like to see a blog post about how that was achieved.
Yeah, that's nice. There is a button to become a mentor. Nice. I missed that. But yeah, really cool stuff. Fingers crossed for the whole idea. And I think that the biggest call to action here is that if you have any juniors or people who are searching or looking for some help, and maybe they're struggling with learning things about Umbraco, and they just want to find some shortcuts or feedback or help from people who were doing it for a while, go there and submit that. It's just a chat. It's nothing wrong.
Yeah, completely free, no commitment. You just turn up to one of the sessions, and there'll be someone friendly, helpful, knowledgeable there that can answer questions for you.
I think that's
and
such
for
a
people.
good idea. I love that.
And last thing which I wanted to just say, it's if you want to teach someone and maybe you want to try out sharing your knowledge, it's probably also a good idea to do that. It's maybe more intimate and stressful than meetups, for example, because it's a one-to-one session. So it's like sharing feedback, helping for other people, and as I always say, everyone knows something what someone else doesn't know. So everyone can help.
And it also helps you as well. I mean, one of the reasons I did did this whole core thing was because I wanted to learn more myself. I'm not an expert in any of this stuff, and by doing this and writing articles and sharing the knowledge, it also cements your own understanding of it. Like, I learned stuff that I didn't realize I could be doing with this time around, and I'm sure everyone else will too.
Cool. And I've mentioned meetups. Maybe let's just highlight that you've said already. Yesterday was the kickoff of the meetups in this year. Umbraco Leads group started yesterday. A lot of chats from what you've said, guys, about the future, best things, comparisons of stuff, and so on. And there is also Umbraco London virtual social on January 14th.
Indeed, yeah.
So yeah, we are starting. Anyone who wants to participate, it's still online, still virtual. Everyone can join. So go to the meetup.com, find the best looking meetup or most interesting for yourself, and just join. And that's it. Maybe one more thing, because we have a couple articles to scan through.
Clearly, a whole bunch of Umbraco devs wanted to avoid their family this Christmas because we've had more blog articles in the past 2 weeks than we've ever had. There's 6 or 7 of them, I think, that I've had to hand pick a few.
Yeah, we should just go and shot one by one. First one was from Antoine, and it was about setting up the Docker for Umbraco demos, and it's a kind of extension of the Docker image setup, but with the pre-installed some starter kits or tools like Vendor or Marketing Suite. A great set of things to be reused, because everyone can reuse it and build the images ourselves. And yeah, it's great. It's open source. It's on Antoine's repositories and GitHub profiles. Second one was from Sotiris, and it was about hiding unpublished variants from the content tree, and it was something what I was amazed of, and I asked Sotiris to release it as a separated package, because it's built into his starter kit, Umazel starter kit, but it's something what I think a lot of us would love to use in our projects. So Sotiris, if you're watching us, I remember that now, and we are all waiting. But great definition also how it's done and how it can be accomplished if we want to just build it by ourselves. So great blog post. And third blog is from Soren, and it's about bypassing property editor restrictions in Umbraco element types. Yet another
the nested content you can't put inside a block list. There's various constraints because of how the property editors work. The tag picker, there's always been a problem inside grids and things. The image upload doesn't work unless you're in a main content type. So here's Soren hacking away and bypassing that.
Yeah, cool stuff. And Owain also on his new blog design shared a blog post about the hidden routing properties, which for me personally were always hard to find in the documentation.
And
it
was an interesting discussion that was sparked off the back of this about maybe these should be somewhere in the CMS, and it got me thinking that we've got publish date and like the scheduled publishing stuff. Yeah, that makes sense that that's in that info tab somewhere and that you can go and find it. But why are these routing settings not as well? Because I'm not a fan of hidden magic variables or magic name.
Umbraco Navihide.
You remember back in the day when you could create a group on your content type called properties, and you'd be able to put properties on the info tab. It's things like that. It shouldn't really happen. It should just work or be there or something.
And it probably doesn't hurt as well to have it exposed, because most of the CMSs have a built-in feature to rewrite URLs and things like that. So yeah, good topic. Maybe if you're watching us, share your idea in Umbraco in YouTube comments if you would like to see that in the core, because that's a great way to see that. But yeah, cool hidden stuff exposed and refreshed again. So thanks, Owain. And from the other side, there is also a Candid Contribution podcast episode called Include, featuring Ilham from Umbraco HQ and Hank from Microsoft discussing about leading open source communities. And again, I've added it to my to-do list. I need to catch up. Sounds like an interesting topic, and especially seen from the perspective of Ilham and Hank, it must be interesting. Did you guys see? Did you guys listen or to this episode already?
Before Christmas, I think I missed this one.
Yeah, me too.
One of the problems is lockdown.
To the list. Cool. And some other stuff on our list left. One cool thread from Lee. Touching the topic about packages, and there were a lot of great opinions here, and you've kind of mentioned today that by the whole rewrites and stuff like that, package creators will also need to create and do another work, and there were some arguments
a lot of chat about why do packages not get migrated from V7 to V8. Why has that been the case? Are we seeing a decline in interest, or is it more of a consolidation where maybe before we had three packages that would do the same thing, we now have one? It's definitely interesting. And Lee said he kind of scraped and found all of the stats.
I was going to say great statistics work here and analytics work, Lee, but it's interesting, and it might be also kind of alarming at some point. And if we will be also tracking all of this data, we might react to that. Umbraco might react to that, and we can all be prepared or make some actions maybe.
There's necessarily anything to react to. I think this is maybe just a statement about where the ecosystem is. Maybe we are developing less packages, or maybe packages are being listed less on Hour. I know people just put them on NuGet now sometimes. Lee also mentioned that he's got probably 20 packages that he's built for V8 for clients that they use internally, and they're not going to release them because the support maintenance is a massive burden. And I think that's an element. People over the past 5 years have become far more demanding of open source creators.
It's a topic for another episode, Callum. Probably that's something what I also participated in some threads during the break, and yeah, let's talk about it later. But these numbers are there, and everyone can check it out. And yeah, we always highlight new releases which we could find, and if we couldn't find it, that means that maybe it's somewhere hidden or released internally for the clients. Three last thing from Umbraco blog post, and we can wrap up. 2 new hires in this break. First of them is Simon, who joined the SWAT team. So we can all take a read more about Simon and how he is going to extend the Umbraco team there. And there is also Pratis. I don't know if I'm pronouncing this name correctly. Also joining the SWAT support.
Pratis in his blog post has shared that his name is unique in Denmark, and I think that's absolutely Sri Lanka. No one else in Denmark has his name, which is fantastic. Wouldn't you love to be that unique? Wouldn't you love to be able to get, I don't know, maybe not the Twitter handle, but imagine getting your name as a Twitter handle.
Yeah, just that's a really nice idea. And last thing on our list was something what was highlighted yesterday, and it's a kind of partnership with LanguageWire. Umbraco HQ and LanguageWire combined some forces, and they are going to give a webinar about translations and automated translations for Umbraco. So it's happening on January 14th, and everyone can sign up to attend that. So that's all. And before we wrap up, Carl, there was one question from Warren to you.
Okay.
How
we've got a little ladder, so basically a slide down. No, I don't. There's a door here. Just go out like
that. And the magic revealed. The magic. Yeah, offices are interesting. I've been sharing with the guys earlier that I also upgraded my office, and that's an amazing upgrade, standing right here. And it's a baby crib.
What you mean and your wife has kicked you out of the bed, and now you have to sleep on the side?
I removed my lamps before. You know, my home office looked crazy. I'm working like that for a couple of years already. But yeah, I had bigger lamps before. Right now, this bed. There's not too much space here. I also have a bicycle here to do some trainings, or at least pretend that, because I've heard that by looking on it, it's already doing the training. So
yeah, hard work is looking.
Another no goals for 2021. And that's all what we had prepared on our list. Thanks guys for joining us and sharing your thoughts. Do you want to add anything else from your side? Anything what we've missed, maybe? Owain, Carl?
Anything?
No. Any plans from your side, maybe for the upcoming weeks, months?
I think I'm considering giving a talk at the Edinburgh Meetup, talking about the same Raspberry Pi stuff and looking more along those lines. So yeah, I might have put something together for that one. Awesome. End of the month, I think it is 26th, 25th. I'm not sure. Check Twitter.
Nice. Owen, do you know when the next umbraCoffee meetup is?
Yeah, I was just going to check that now. There is a.
Is it March? I think the first one is or February, actually, because Manchester's later this month.
Yeah, because we are doing them like every other with Manchester. Because there was a picture we had that had all the dates on it. I'm going to try to find that now. Yeah, there it is. So Manchester's next one is 21st of January. And then the next umbraCoffee is the 18th of February.
Nice.
So we are looking for, I think we're still looking for speakers there. If anyone wants to speak at it, just send a message to the umbraCoffee Twitter page.
Cool. Good call to action.
27th, the Edinburgh one is. Sorry, just a jump in there.
Nice.
Cool.
So we can continue, and let's rock this 2021. And everyone in Umbraco community have a great year ahead. Share your work, because just thanks to that we can share our updates and news every week. Like, subscribe, and share this videos with your colleagues if they are looking for Umbraco news. And yeah, cheers for another year with umbraCoffee. Thanks guys again. Have a great rest of the day.
Happy New Year. Bye.